Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
If you've been hurt in a road accident that wasn't your fault, you should really talk to G4 Claims first. Unlike road accident solicitors, we don't charge you for our services, which could see you better off. To keep 100% of your compensation, have a chat with Nicole and the team. You'll be glad you did. Search online for G4 Claims.
Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder podcast. It's episode 129. We've made it that far. Sometimes I struggle to believe that we've actually lasted that long. It's impressive. Anyway, I'm getting a bit sidetracked, sorry. It's nice to be back here in the G4 Claims studios for quite a big episode, to be quite honest. I said that I wanted to get things wrapped up sharpish tonight so that we could upload it a bit earlier. It's going to be difficult because we have a lot to talk about. So joining me for those conversations, first of all, for the first time this year, ladies and gentlemen, is Dylan Murdoch. Dylan, how you doing?
The first one this year. I'm good, Ryan. How are you? A happy New Year, I guess, to you.
Aye, exactly. And to everybody at home. I don't know if... Did we even say Happy New Year last week?
Probably not.
I feel like we just skipped right by it. Right. No, dude. But you're back, Dylan. Nice to have you. How have you been?
Aye, same old. Good to be back. I think that was the first one I missed last week, wasn't it? So... it's good to be back. You're unbroken
and never ending. What was the tweet again that Celtic put up when, remember, it was like, forever unbroken, never to anything or something like.
Oh, aye, that was in the COVID season. We're not half at anything.
And then to the left of Dylan, he's already said his hellos. Hello, Kieran. How you doing?
Hello, everyone.
I didn't give you quite
I
didn't give you quite a spectacular introduction.
Get up, yeah.
Listen, I've done it for 129. Well, not all of them, but you know what I mean.
Enough.
Aye.
I know. All right. I mean, we were last here Thursday last week, weren't
just
we?
Us two.
Mm-hmm.
Me too, man.
Just like Paul and John said, two of us.
Since then, I suppose there's been a few talking points we could put.
More than a few.
That's
putting it
I'm
very
sure we'll
lightly.
delve into it all.
Aye, we've got transfers, we've got dropping points up in Dundee, we've got the Cup preview. We only just figured out there before we started recording that this will actually be the episode prior to our next big European game, because if we're not until next Thursday, young boys will be done and over with. So it's a massive episode, and to avoid just beating around the bush, we should probably just dive right into things. It's January, and January comes with a whole host of different stories and rumours. Should we start off with Kieran Tierney very, very quickly, because it looks done and dusted by the sound of things. We don't know the exact details of it all yet. We're essentially sitting, Kieran, where we were last week was, it looks like it will happen. We're sure that it will happen. We just don't know when it will happen. Technically, not much has changed. It's kind of stayed the same, but now it looks all but certain, which is nice. Dylan, you weren't here last week, and I've spoke to you in the past about Kieran Tierney on multiple occasions, so I know how big a fan you are of him. Just summarise how you're feeling amongst the return.
Aye, it's brilliant. It was nice to get that wee tweet yesterday for Fabrizio, basically all but confirming that he's coming back. As you said, we don't know when exactly it will be. Seen there was talks of like being maybe a loan spell first, and then the chance at the end of the season to sign, or just come at the end of the season. But no, especially with the Valle stuff as well, so it's definitely looking more assured. But no, it's absolutely brilliant to have Kieran Tierney back, which is looking likely. 27 years old, isn't he? So still basically in his prime. Probably see a better, more matured version of the Tierney we've seen at Celtic, which is probably even better because we thought he was brilliant when he was here. So aye, it's all but positive. Basically, I know there's the injury worries, but I'm pretty sure he's recovered for the one again, the Euros he got. So aye, it's looking good.
That's one thing that you've raised a good point, because I feel like amongst all of this, one of the things that I have completely just put to the side is the fact that we are going to have a much better version of Kieran Tierney. You used the word mature, it was a great way to put it. And I think that's something that we didn't really even focus on that much last week, Kieran, because the whole hysteria of it happening is, he's coming back. But and it's just because we know how good he is. But this is a guy now in his prime years. Kieran, it's a magnificent signing.
5.5 years on for
nuts. Where's the time gone?
5.5 years more experienced, playing at the top level for Arsenal. Obviously, had his loan spell in La Liga as well that didn't really pan out due to injury.
Yep.
A common theme with Kieran Tierney, sadly. But we're hoping that we're getting a version back that's going to massively improve us. And I think even if it was the old version that was coming back, it would still massively improve us right now. But nah, it's an exciting thing. And I can only hope he comes in January. And obviously this, Fabrizio was talking about that, sort of starts the domino effect to Alex Valle.
Aye.
Gone to, was it Como?
Como.
So... See Fabregas, just quickly. Is he still there, man?
I think he is, isn't he? Aye.
I'm fuming in the summer, signing Varane, then he just ends up retiring.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre, isn't it? Como are one of the teams that just came out of nowhere with a wee bit of money behind them and just like, I don't know, never heard of them. I mean, I've obviously heard of Como, like Como, the rest of it, but I never heard of the football team until like...
Stadium's a fucking shanner.
Oh, did you see it?
Aye.
I didn't expect them to have a great stadium,
No,
to be
but
fair.
it's awful.
Aye. Anyway, and not to get sidetracked on Como, it's blockbuster stuff. And I mean, I think if you told any Celtic fan even a couple of months ago that Kieran Tierney could return to Celtic, I wouldn't have believed you. I'd have laughed about it. So to be sitting here in this situation now, talking about it, all but confirmed, is just absolutely mental to me. Like, this is the kind of upgrade that Brendan Rodgers was brought in to try and make, Dylan, wasn't it? These are the kind of signings that I think that when he came back and replaced Ange, there was a lot of supporters who were maybe on the back of Brendan Rodgers, not really on board with his appointment, but there was the kind of acceptance, right, okay, this could be the guy to help lead us a step forward, to try and lure in bigger players because of his name. And he's doing it with Tierney. It's a huge signing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we thought like if Tierney ever came back, it would be like towards the end of his career, maybe like the same as like an Andy Robertson or something. I always said they might want to play for Celtic and that, but no, just like that way as you're saying, he's worked with Brendan Rodgers before. Brendan Rodgers arguably made him into a player to get to that level at the Premier League and stuff like that. And he's got, as you said, all the experience of playing in the Premier League. I think he won the FA Cup as well and stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be a brilliant signing if he comes back to work with somebody like Brendan Rodgers, an established coach who can help him produce even further stuff. It's nothing but positive, and hopefully we can get him soon and we could maybe even jump into a Champions League game like towards the end. But either way, it's just going to be brilliant.
It would be ideal to have him in Kilmarnock. I mean, I don't know if it's possible, but it certainly would be a nice situation if we could have him here before.
You're not going to turn your nose up at Kieran Tierney being available for Celtic for the rest of the season and then becoming a permanent member of the squad. As you said, it is just kind of hard to find the words for it because, as Dylan said, it was one of the ones you would have expected a bit later in his career, but to get a player of his calibre in at 27 years of age, with entering his prime years as well, obviously injuries permitting, but it's an exciting time to be a Celtic fan in regards to a transfer like that. But I was actually just thinking on the point you said, do you think, I mean, he obviously loves the club now, but how big a part do you think Rodgers has been like in making his decision? Because if Rodgers wasn't here, do you think he would still come back as quickly as this?
See it. I mean, this
it's
is
all ifs and buts.
Yeah, it's ifs, buts and maybes at the end of the day, isn't it? I am pretty adamant that if Rodgers wasn't manager, he wouldn't come back. I just think that that's the biggest selling point. Not the biggest selling point. The biggest selling point is Celtic. Take the club aside and that being his boyhood club. I don't think Dermot Desmond phoning him up and saying, "Oh, would you like to come back?" would end in a definite yes. I think that Rodgers has been in his ear and I don't know what the heavy lifting.
His time at Celtic, obviously under Brendan Rodgers. So,
and I think the good thing is as well. Is I feel at first when the rumours started just before Christmas, there was a lot of people that were like, "Don't want him. He's injury prone and whatnot." I feel like that's slowly gone away.
Aye.
I feel like everybody's realised.
People have been swept up in the...
I mean, he's watched him since he came back onto the scene for Arsenal. He's looked good.
He was getting rave reviews for his 15-minute cameo in the North London.
Could have had an assist if Odegaard didn't miss a sitter last
A lot
night.
of Arsenal fans saying that. It was like, see if we could get one end of his crosses, man.
Aye. I don't know if anybody watched the Man United game at the weekend. I stuck on extra time, brought on Tierney, sent in a couple of cracking crosses and just nobody there. It looks fantastic. He looks like he's still the player that everybody knows he is. So I mean, this is huge, massive for Sellik. I can't wait. I hope he's number 63, but
I know.
none of this
Nonsense.
nah. See if Taylor goes and on that note, actually, before we do move on to the wingers and the rest of the transfer window. Valle leaving the club, it's a shame. I liked him. I thought he was a player that certainly had potential. We kind of touched on this in the group chat the other day, Kieran. I don't see why certain folk are getting very wound up about it. I like him, as I said, but I don't think it's heartbreaking, the thought of him not becoming a Celtic player or anything.
I
like
wanted
that.
him to come in and succeed and make that starting position his own, but it's just not really happened for him. And I'm not saying he's been bad by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not exactly set the world alight. And I think people had that sort of expectation coming in, and even if he had a couple of good performances for us, I think people will latch on to things like that.
Aye.
I think it's just the whole thing around him. He's for the Barca Academy. You kind of want that calibre of player coming in, but as I said in the group chat the other night, I'm not going to lose any sleep at him no staying permanently.
He's not done enough for me to be,
Nah.
upset about him going. I wish him the best if he does go. And honestly, if he could stay and there was a place for him, I would like to. But it's just the way.
I know, I'm not trying to chase him.
No, absolutely
But
not.
realistically, I've raised this point before. He's not going to want to stay at Celtic if Kieran Tierney comes back, because he would end up third choice behind Greg Taylor for the rest of the season. Then after that, he's not going to back to play second fiddle at Celtic. So.
On that note, you're the resident Greg Taylor fan of the podcast, Dylan. What do you think's next for Greg? Where do you lean right now? Do you think he's closer to staying at Celtic, or?
It's an interesting... The fact that Valle could be leaving, I think there's no reason why Greg Taylor can stay, but I think because he's not signed the contract yet, still puts it out if he would stay, because he'd probably have signed a contract by now. But also, when we're talking about the Tierney worries about injury, like, Greg Taylor's still proved early years that he can be at that level, number one. So there's always a good reason for him to stay and give Tierney in that fight for the number one spot, I guess. But it's an interesting one. I'm not sure if he will. I mean, if Valle leaves, then the door's open for him to stay. But I don't really know what Greg Taylor will do.
In my head, obviously, I don't know what the man's thinking, but I think at his age, he might want to go somewhere where he will be the number one.
This is the point I was going to bring up, though, right? We spoke about this on our members on the live stream last night. The options he's been linked with are hardly glamorous.
Oh, no.
And Zagreb, Trabzonspor, Hull, another championship club, I think, Hull, Middlesbrough maybe it was. Apparently a couple of teams in America interested. The only one, from a lifestyle point of view, it was only the American moves that was like...
was it, I'd go MLS.
Aye, so same, but like... So the way that I'm looking at it, right, is apparently he wants 25 grand a week for Celtic, which I don't see him getting, but that's the whole point negotiating in it. But I think him staying as Celtic's backup, who's still going to play a lot of football with Kieran Tierney's injury record, is a much better place to be in than fucking Hull or Trabzonspor or Zagreb. Maybe I'm saying that through green tinted specs, but I don't think this is exactly a terrible place for Taylor to be.
I think it's just about where his ambitions lie, but because does he want to be the backup, or does he want to?
It's football,
isn't it? Like, I mean, he'll get decent money here in America, even in Turkey. I mean, Turkey's not exactly a glamorous prospect. He wouldn't stay there for a long time. I could see that being one of the ones where he's there 6 months and then he's on loan to a Hull. But I don't know. If it was me, I'd play backup, but it's Greg Taylor, but he didn't even grow up as a Celtic fan, so he's not got that connection the same as what other people do.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it's that way, I know, but if Greg Taylor surely would know that he's not going to be sitting on the bench every single week.
Aye.
Like a team at Celtic, the way you were playing the fixture list and stuff, Champions League, like he would easily, but we know he could be trustworthy for the league as well. So, but obviously it's up to him. But I don't see the reason why you shouldn't stay.
I'm just imagining Greg Taylor desperately trying to injure Kieran Tierney in the training ground, like Wiley Coyote trying to catch the road run.
No, don't jinx it. Anyway, we'll probably be talking more about this situation as the weeks go on. When we hear more official announcements, etc., we will be here. However, January, it's just hectic, and this week alone has been incredibly hectic. The Kyogo stuff has been up and down. We can maybe come on to that at the end, but Celtic look like they are in for a winger. Which winger? I don't know, because if you believe what the papers say, we're bidding for 3, and that's just not happening.
I think maybe 4 now by now.
4 as well.
I think there was another boy.
Was there?
I can't remember his name.
So we'll start. So last week there was a story that was broke, and it was backed up by Sky Sports about a Norwegian winger called Sondre Orjasæter, who plays for Sarpsborg in Norway, young lad, 20 years of age, I think 21 years of age, and apparently Celtic had bidded £7 million for him. Looked a decent player on the surface, cool. Then a few days later we heard that Celtic were potentially looking at Louis Barry of Aston Villa, formerly loan of Stockport. today, the Daily Record, Scott Burns reported that Celtic have launched a 7-figure bid for him, so anything between 1 million and 9.9 million pounds apparently. And then there was a link last night that came out with the Valle winger, and Celtic apparently interested in him, but they want £8.5 million for him. No idea what stories to believe and what not to believe, but it certainly looks as though Celtic are in for a winger, boys.
I mean, before the transfer window started, I think we all identified the positions we would like to see reinforcement in, and I think it's been sort of solidified by the injuries and the wingers we've been having to start in the past few games. It's maybe not been what Rodgers would be hoping for going into the tricky away ties, but there's been sort of arguments surrounding players like Yang and Palman, maybe the lack of impact that they can have in the squad. So it was obvious to the fans that a winger was going to be top priority, but it's nice to hear these different names being flung about. But as you said, can you really believe half it for certain sources in the media? So you don't know what to believe, but it gives you a bit of confidence we will be making that reinforcement in January. You just need to hope that we go for the right one. And just out of the options you listed, I reckon that Louis Barry, it kind of fits the profile of what I would expect for a Celtic January transfer window signing.
Aye.
Hopefully a stroke of Matt O'Reilly.
Exactly. League One. We can repeat it. Who was the fourth that you seen, David?
I can't remember his name. I literally seen it when I was in the car there, but
God,
aye, but they three were the main ones, obviously.
So what were you making of it all?
It's a weird one because I was always thinking, see, like you're talking about the price tag.
Aye.
It's really like we're used to this season's the first real season we spent a lot of big money on like one player or two players, but if we spend that amount of money in January, it's really like a surprising one. But not in a bad way, like just because we're not used to seeing that. But as Kieran said, the winger was the main priority to look at in January, and the fact that Palmer's probably going to be leaving now as well, should be a guarantee. We hopefully bring in a winger. So.
Here's a question quickly.
Yes,
go on. I don't know how much it will end up being if we got to get that Louis Barry, but I can just already see it. Project signing.
Oh, yeah, project
because
signing.
We had the couple of big transfer fees in the summer, and you've kind of had that put on the back burner, but it's January. We're going to be having it. People calling any signing that isn't an absolute fortune a project signing.
Yeah, it's frustrating that we're going to have to be going back and forth about this for a while now, and certainly having to hear conflicting reports. I'm assuming that'll happen. I would go on a limb here and say, on a whim? Is it on a whim or on a limb? What?
I think I say limb.
I think it is. On a limb, I think that I would say that Celtic aren't going to do anything until after this young boys game. I'm fairly certain we won't sign anybody until we know the result of that game, because the whole point is trying to equip ourselves for the next round of Europe. But if we somehow bottle it, then they'll be like, well, no point in doing it now, we'll wait till summer. So do you think it maybe does hinge on that result on Wednesday?
Maybe, but that adds even more pressure to what is already a very high stakes game. I mean, we'll come on to it briefly at the end, I'd imagine, but I don't know about you, but I'm not exactly brimming with excitement about next week's game.
I am.
No, I'm excited, but at the same time I'm very fearful because this isn't my first rodeo. I've seen this story before.
Well, you're going to have to just watch it again. Right, let's talk about all three wingers for a moment. So let's start with the Valle winger, Raul Moro, his name is, and today Stephen McGowan, was it today, 15th? No, yesterday, Stephen McGowan, reported that Real Valladolid are aware of Celtic's interest in Raul Moro, but are still awaiting on an offer to be submitted. Ajax have him down as a priority signing for this transfer window, so it looks as though there would be a battle between us and Ajax to sign the player. £8.5 million is what they command. Dylan, I don't think Celtic are going to spend £8.5 million on a winger.
Especially in January, that's right. Especially when you've got, like, we know we've got Maidan Kuhn still there. Like, we were talking about Palman Yang as like the backups, and obviously if you're bringing in a winger for that price, they're obviously going to be guaranteed starting. So as you said, and would they wait till after the young boys game? Probably. But because you've got the three options and two of them pretty much being a guaranteed high price tag, it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
I think, to me, he's the least attractive of the three, and he's the most expensive of the three, Kieran. Because, listen, I don't know anything about the lad. I've never watched him play. What I can look at is his stats. This season, 3 goals and an assist. for Real Valladolid in La Liga, which is obviously a very good league, and still getting goals in that league is important, especially you're not a striker, your job isn't to score goals. But in terms of statistics, he's the one that doesn't jump off the page at me, and 8.5 million is a hell of a big risk to take on what is it. I think that wingers are the ones that go hot and cold the most. You can get it wildly wrong, or you can get it incredibly right with a winger.
We've seen some shite wingers at Celtic before.
We currently have some shite wingers.
We see him in the flesh. As you said, that is a huge risk to take. The price tag, I think, will be the off-putting thing for the board. I would not be surprised to be seeing him getting paraded about in an Ajax shirt.
Well, Ajax apparently are only willing to pay 8.5, so I think there's going to have to be a happy medium of somebody willing to pay a bit of money, but Valladolid compromising a bit, because I think people are just, right, it's not worth 8.5.
I mean, as I said, I think that Louis Barry fits the profile more.
Well, you want to talk about Louis Barry, because what a season he's had. And I think on paper he's the one that interests me the most. At Stockport so far, Stockport this season, he was on loan for the opening half of the season, scored 15 goals and got 3 assists, 18 goal contributions in the first half of the season, can play in the left, can play in the right, can play through the middle as well. Irish dual citizenship with his British passport, which I'm sure will appeal to a lot of people. But back at Aston Villa, was a product of Barcelona's youth academy as well. I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of boxes ticked with this lad.
I mean, as you lay out the facts there and his stats for the start of the season, you could maybe argue that as Stockport and the level he's playing at, but he's obviously a player. And he's came through, as you say, that he's playing for Aston Villa. He was at La Masia. So I think you're saying it ticks the boxes. I think it ticks the boxes for the board as well, because it seems like a relatively low risk signing.
Aye.
I mean, I don't know how much Aston Villa are going to hold out for, because he has had an impressive first half of the season. They could ask for more than they could have asked
Valued
for
at 1.3 million on transfer marked, apparently.
Well, not a penny more, Aston Villa.
But I like the look of him. I think he looks like a talent. The only thing is that article, so Scott Burns saying that Celtic are set to test Aston Villa's resolve with an opening 7-figure bid. But I hate that shite, 7-figure bid. What does that even mean? Is that £1 million? I genuinely don't know.
I can already see him scoring at Villa Park.
Oh, here. I forgot.
I
forgot about that.
No, I don't know, a couple of million.
So, what do you think about Louis Barry? A quick opinion.
I think I'm the same as Kieran. I think out of the three, he fits the profile the most, and obviously he's probably the cheapest. So I think, from a board's point of view, it's probably the most likely one we would go for. Because I think the board would probably look at this as well, 13 points clear. You know what they can be like. There's no panic station, so they wouldn't need to do a panic buy or anything like that. So out of the three, I think he would fit it the most.
They're getting their statement signing and Kieran Tierney as well. So
exactly.
On a free. So I honestly can't see us going out and spending £8 million on a winger. If we did, then I've been proven wrong, but I'd be honestly very surprised.
And then Sondre Orjaseta, I think is how it's pronounced. That's just a strange one, because apparently we've bidded for him, but there's been nothing else said since. 5 goals, 5 assists in the Norwegian Elite Serie last season. Looks, once again, I think Barry first for me, then this lad at second. I've watched what I can watch of him, but YouTube compilations make anybody look good.
He's playing in a team that didn't have the best year in their league. I'm pretty sure they finished in the bottom half anyway, near the very bottom of the table. So I think it helps him when he stands out more in a team like that, and he's maybe been the shining light for that team, and it shows that he can perform in teams that maybe don't even have the same style as Celtic. They're no in possession all the time. You could maybe put that as an argument against them, because it's a different style of football, but as I said, you never know what's coming, especially in January. Which is no sign, any of them.
I think this is the one, Dylan, that probably confirms that Celtic will sign a winger, though, because Anthony Joseph did say it in his tweet. So alongside saying that they're in talks with Sarpsborg over a bid, he did mention in that same tweet that Celtic made first contact about him in early December, which is obviously long ago now. We're talking coming up 2 months. He has 2 years left in his contract. Clubs in France and Italy looking at him. So do you think that because Celtic went in so early to get him, this is maybe one that presents not just a realistic chance of signing, but just essentially confirms that a winger will be coming through the door?
Yeah, most likely. I think that way as well. Like, out of the three, actually, like you were talking about, like, you see the highlights and stuff. He was looking quite like the most maybe skillful is the word.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of his highlights and that. I think if we could get somebody his calibre, it would be good. But what was you say the price? Was it 7 million?
So apparently 7 million. Another one that is very expensive, big risk.
Especially coming from Norway as well. I feel like they don't sell players for that much usually. But even the ones that have left like Bodo Glimt and that, I feel like they've no went for massive fees.
It's nuts though, because like you look at the Norwegian national team now, and it's like they're all like so many mega stars now. Haaland, Ødegaard, and guys like that. Like they're producing big players, but it's always their second move that is like the one that's actually big money. It's never their move out of Norway that's the big money. So it's a huge gamble for Celtic to pay that for him.
I know,
but I guess that's, you know, if we want to progress in Europe, it's just the money you've got to spend.
I mean, I'm not going to grudge if we do go out and spend this sort of money on players. I'm just saying I think it's unlikely we do. But
it's nuts though,
I
isn't
would
it?
welcome it.
It's like this time last year we were sitting here going, Celtic have apparently bidded for, was it 4.5 million for this Nicholas Kuhn character? We were all like, 4.5 million, that's a lot of money, and look where that's got us. You know, maybe the best winger we've had at the club since, well, Jota wasn't that long ago, but you know, like he's been worth every penny.
And even at that day and age now, we need to like take that risk more. Because I think a lot of like your Jotas and Kuhns that have all been like the 3-4 million thing, but now the way the football's gone these days,
maybe it's just us being naive. Because I mean, we've spoke about how if you do want to move up that next level, you need to spend these fees, and I think it's maybe just training ourselves out of thinking that this is a lot of money to pay. I mean, it might be relative to us, but in the grand scheme of things, £7 million a drop in the ocean to the rest of the teams you're competing against in Champions League.
Yeah. By the way, I'd just like to clarify, I'm not being ignorant to my fellow podcasters. I've been using the phone to get the right quotations and prices and stuff like that. I'm not just ignoring everything they're saying. So just to kind of summarise this whole winger conversation, if you were to pick one, are we all unanimous on Louis Barry being the one that we'd like to see if it was one of three?
For me personally, it's between Barry and Thingy.
Sorry, it's Sondre or Yaseta.
The Norwegian boy.
I
know, I hope we don't sign him just for I don't want to hear people's pronunciations.
It's just you see the funny letters and stuff like that, and you think, oh shit, and then you realise it's actually so like, how can you fuck up saying or Yaseta? It's no that hard, but they will
find a way.
Oh, they will. They 100% will. So yeah, it's going to be a busy month. Just very quickly before we talk about who's left and finish up on the transfer stuff, is there any positions that you're disappointed with not been linked with anybody yet? Are you happy with the thought of maybe Tierney and Winger being it for the window?
I mean, I said that a few weeks ago. I don't think anything's majorly changed in my viewpoint of that. I don't know if a few more people might be clamouring for a centre half after Tuesday night, but I'm yet to, I haven't even looked at Twitter, if I'm being honest, after that game. I was like, I can't be arsed.
Honestly, wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
It
was actually not the worst. You obviously get the odd crackpot who's took it too far. Like, I think the biggest thing listen, we're going to get carried away from it here, but the biggest thing was McGregor getting called into major question. I think that was the biggest conversation.
I think I've seen a lot of people wanting him dropped on it. That was interesting.
We'll cover that when we get to the match reviews. Just to finish up on transfers, Stephen Welsh, he's away. He's off on loan to Mechelen in Belgium. And Odin Thiago Holm, talking about Norwegians, has finally got a move as well. He's away to Los Angeles. What a move, by the way. You'd be buzzing. I'd tell you. See if I walked into the office in Parkhead and they said, you're off to Los Angeles, I think I'd let out a massive cheer.
He probably jumped up and clicked his heels.
It is only on loan. It's
be there the full
till
year.
December. Yep, whole year. I think it's great though. I think it's the kind of move you needed.
Yeah, he's somebody that came in quite highly rated in terms of people spoke highly of him, and hopefully he can show something. That
I hope he does
come back.
And the MLS standard's getting better and better.
You don't like to see players going out on loan thinking, right, they're going out on loan and they're never going to make an impact at this team. I mean, that's a loan that you've actually got a bit of hope that they can maybe come back and be a player for us.
At the end of the day, the MLS has become one of the markets that Celtic like to shop in. Alistair Johnson we got from the MLS. Of course, Austin Trusty's career started in the MLS. We wanted Mateusz Bogus in the summer. The MLS is now a market which Celtic directly turn to sign. So this is a league where on Thiago home, if he was in a Los Angeles player and was playing well, we'd maybe be talking about signing him. So I hope he does well and comes back with a conversation.
Just thinking about you talking about signing for the MLS, like see on the tweet about home gone there, and somebody, if you're sparking my memory, like, he's that Polish boy. I forgot we were actually.
Bogish. Was it a lot of Bogish? Who knows? Who knows? Right, do you want to go into the halftime quiz? We've done. I feel like we've covered everything we had to about transfers. Like, I don't think there's much else.
There'll be another story broke by the time.
By the time we get up the road,
Always the same.
the half 10 papers.
Somebody signed the time we finished.
Sorry, I'm coughing away. Right, Kieran, you are hosting said halftime quiz today.
I don't think it's a particularly hard tenable I've gave you this week. It's in the spirit of the Scottish Cup. And
Oh, yes,
all
of
I'm going to
course.
be asking is to name the last 10 fixtures we've played in the Scottish Cup.
All right. Okay.
And I'm not doing like, because we've played a certain team more than once. Like those ones that come up more than once.
All right. Okay.
So
right. So
if you think about it, the 5 games for the past 2 seasons, just to remember.
So Rangers in the cup final.
Correct.
Aberdeen.
Let's see if we can go bang on and.
Can't remember who we played in the quarters.
I remember how we played first though, but who went the order?
Do we
Don't need to go on
Right,
order.
who was in the
Just
first round
thought
again?
these were going for
Bucky
it.
Thistle.
Bucky Thistle, that's right.
Correct, 4th round.
Ross County. Oh, have I wasted that?
You've wasted.
Shit. I thought we played County after them.
Nope.
Nah.
I'm trying to remember.
I jumped in there for the. So Inverness in the cup final. Aye. And then the semi final before that was that Rangers? Aye, Rangers. So how many have we got now?
Where you go, the final, the semi-final, and the 4th round from last season. You've got the final for the final, semi-final for the year before.
Why did I jump in with fucking County? Where did that come from? God, let me
Remember the
think.
one after Bucky Thistle, man.
Aye, that's totally blank.
It was away for home. I'll give you that.
Why the fuck did I say County? I was thinking of County at Parkhead. Where'd that come from? So we've got.
When else we got?
So what number?
I'll give you 3. Aye.
What number was the semi final against Rangers in the list? Like how many are before that we need to get?
Well, you've still got 2 for last season to get.
Aye, and then is Rangers in the semi before Inverness the last one's at number 10
No.
or number 1?
Wait, that's what I'm saying. It was 5. Like, you're basically trying to tell me the runs we had in the 23-24 season and the
The last
2020,
2 seasons
22-23, because there's been 5 games in each. We've won.
Aye, I know. So I'm asking you how many are before the Rangers game? The
I
semi
think
final.
it'll be 3 before, after Rangers.
What's wrong with me? Have I completely lost my
You
marbles?
gave me the final for last season, you gave me the semi-final, you gave me the 4th round for that.
Uh-huh.
So, obviously the 4th round would be the fucking 5th.
Right, and then the season before that, when we had Inverness and Rangers, and we know still needing the 3 before that. Aye, so that's
Come on, you should. Why'd you even need to ask me that?
So Rangers were around 7 aye.
It's in fucking order.
sorry, my bad. That's terrible, isn't it? It was just dumbfounded there. Right, we've got 2 lives remaining, Dylan. So that was Ange's, because that wasn't the Connor Salmon and John Hartson saying like Oyster scored for that was the year before.
22.
Aye. John, remember that Hartson?
Aye.
I should be scored. Dick. God almighty.
I'm just going to throw a random team.
Go.
Sit in now.
Correct.
Oh.
So we played them in the 5th round last season. So
Bucky.
So that's that. So we've
That
got
was
that.
that was the away tie.
So that's who I thought, but I was like, I can remember.
So we've got that. Is that done?
No, there's
You still got the quarter final
Oh,
for
for fuck's
last season.
Quarters final.
Oh, wait, Haas, Moy.
Hearts in the quarter final for the
Last
season
year,
before.
aye, right, cool.
Because
I remember that Aaron Moy league.
Hearts. So we've got the quarter final last year, and then the 2 first rounds of the year before.
I mean, you still don't
Raith
have
Rovers.
No.
Ah,
Got 1 life left.
shit. So Dylan, I'm sorry. I've let us
That's
do.
alright.
Right, so I'll go
They're
through the
not
ones you've got. You've got Rangers in the final just there.
Right.
Aberdeen in the semi-final just there.
Right.
You've no said the quarter final for the 23-24 season.
Mm-hmm.
You got St Mirren in the 5th round, Bucky Thistle in the 4th. So you're only missing 1 for last season.
Right.
The season before, you got Inverness in the final, Rangers in the semi-final, Hearts in the quarter final. You're missing the 2 rounds before that.
See, because the first round can obviously be any old Tom, Dick, and Harry. That's what's but the quarter final last year surely must have been somebody for it.
I know, that's what I'm trying to get first in it.
No,
You weren't there.
I was there.
You weren't.
I weren't, so it was away from home. Or was it at home? Was I away somewhere?
It might have happened the night after your birthday night out, and you decided.
Livingston. Livingston.
Oh,
there
so
you go.
was that the Magda?
Bang.
No? Was it?
I don't know. I
think it was.
I remember being there.
I
rough
think
as
it was.
fuck
I
myself.
I watched in the
Magda
telly. That's right. Livy. Bam.
So you have still got the 4th and 5th round for the 22-23
I'll
season.
take it at 8 out of 10.
I mean, I'm pretty happy with 8 out of 10. If you want to get a stab in the dark, feel free and waste the last life if you want.
Do
Because
you want me to give you a clue for the 4th round? And
all right, okay.
it happened when we were in Eindhoven.
Greenock Morton. Bang. That's how I don't remember it because we weren't
Aye.
watching the game.
Can I get a stream?
Aye. I think I caught a bit of it walking about.
Aye.
But that was about it. So
And
one
then-
there.
Just throw a random team out.
Go.
Hibs.
Nah. But I'm technically going to give you it was St Mirren, but I wanted to hear you go through the order again. So you got 10.
Aye, we got 10. Way. Well done, Dylan. You carried
We'll take it.
You carried us there.
Take those.
Aye.
Ross County and Wraith Rovers.
Dub. Well, I don't know why, right? But I had this vision that when we played Bucky Thistle, I don't know why, but I feel like we played Ross County. Like, no, I don't know why. Maybe because they're both Highlanders, and that's why. I don't know.
I remember playing Ross County in the League Cup away from home. I think that was 2022.
Well, it is what it is. Well done.
Secret stuff here or something.
Aye. Right, Celtic are back in action in the Scottish Cup this weekend against Kilmarnock, a game which, quite frankly, Celtic need to win to keep our treble hopes live and well. I'm pretty confident we'll win the game, but I think the biggest talking point going on to this game is to try and get the confidence back on side, to try and get that ruthless side of Celtic that we showed for the vast majority of this season that is kind of maybe petered off in the last month. You were there at Dens Park on Tuesday, Kieran. First of all, how was it? Good?
It would have been better if we got the 3 points, to be fair, but I mean, I think the story of the night was when we scored early, I feel like we were just sort of coasting through the game, and maybe without reason to, because we kept most the ball, obviously, but we weren't really threatening. We obviously had the hitting the bar and a couple of chances. We had the chance to put it to bed, I felt, and then letting them in. They got a wee bit of luck with the goal, but yeah, you go into half time on each, you've kind of got a feeling like, right, we need to come flying out the traps here, and it just didn't really happen. Then you're chasing the game. I mean, it was a clear as day penalty as well, but a penalty having to rescue a point up at Dens, it's no ideal. We seen the week before them drawing with Rangers, you knew it could have been a threat, but we definitely had more than enough to finish that game off. And I think it's frustrating fans because we're talking about the form petering off. We've gave ourselves the cushion by playing so well for the vast majority of the season, but I feel people think there's sort of cracks beginning to appear, and obviously we're going through a very congested fixture list with the end's not even in sight yet, so you're always going to have a bit more of a struggle in these games, but I think it's winding people up a wee bit that we're gone out and steamrolling Dundee up at Dens Park, which you've got no right to do, but
especially because they've been good this season. They've been a good side.
I think it is just frustrating, but because you know that what we're capable of, and we're maybe not showing it. Certain players are really no living up to things. And obviously they've been getting Doug's abuse for it on social media, but I don't know if we'll delve into specific players in that tonight because we've got not a lot to talk about. But
Well, Brendan Rodgers was really honest about things, Dylan. In his post-match pressers, he basically said that it's just no good enough, that we're doing the basics wrong. Ultimately, it's up to him to try and navigate the change and all of that, to try and steer the ship in the right direction, if you like. And I think that he'll know that. What do you think it's been? Do you think there's just been a subconscious sort of, well, the league's done, so we don't need to try as hard? Like, what do you think's went wrong?
Aye, it's that way, what you're saying. See, like, well, sometimes we're not used to this in January being this far ahead, so it's like you don't know how to feel after dropping points like that. I did say to my dad before that, I was like a wee bit cautious of Dundee, as you said. Played well against Rangers, and it was that way what Kieran said. I think we should have killed them off in the first half. And then by the end of the game, I was actually happy with a point because I think we could have easily probably should have lost that game. I think Dundee would have probably been.
I feel like we deserved to lose that game.
Second half, they bullied us.
I think it was a good point.
They
for the second half.
bullied us.
Defensively, that was some of the worst I've seen for a long time.
It's just like, I don't know if it's subconscious, I don't know what it is, but there's like a switch that's turned off somewhere. And I don't think it's, like, I've been very vocal about this, I don't think it's a case of Celtic having to rip up the fucking notebook, start again. We're in a very good place right now, our treble hopes are still alive, we're doing well in Europe, we're so many points clear at the top of the league. This is, if you offered me all of this at the start of the season, I'd have chewed your hand off for it. But it's obviously just seeing the kind of steady decline of performances, which is like, it's a little bit demotivating, I don't know.
I mean, you're allowed to acknowledge it's not the end of the world whilst also calling out
of course.
unacceptable performances. And I feel like there was just a few people pulling their weight, and as you said, it was doing the basics wrong, and Dundee are taking every chance they get, but it was the bullying of the defence that really got
I think that's what you said about Rodgers. I think the good thing is at least he's sort of called it out.
Aye.
Not just going, we're 13 points clear, blah, blah. He is unhappy with the performance, and as you talk about, like, Trusty did a poor game, Rodgers called it out, rightfully so, because we at its scales when he had a bad game at Ibrox, so as you said, he was weak for even the second half. He was pretty poor.
as Roger said, weak as piss.
It was weak as piss, and it's like I don't know if there's maybe just something missing in Trusty's game, because I think he's a good player. He had and everybody has a bad game. Some people going way over the top and saying like, it seems like there's been this internal battle created online between Celtic fans of the scales and Trusty, like who can one up each other's mistakes at this point, and it's very much spotlighted whenever somebody has a bad game. But he's obviously a good player who's had a poor game. He just needs to bring out a different side to him, I think. A side to him that shows a lot more confidence, because I think you can see it in both aspects of his game. Sometimes when he's going forward, he doesn't want to be ambitious with his passing, he'll maybe give it to Vickers and let him do the work. Defensively, obviously, he was absolutely fucking bullied. But I don't know what's causing it. I mean,
even just saying about playing out for the back, I always feel you kind of notice sometimes the play on the left hand side can feel a bit more tentative. That's not even try to single out people like Greg Taylor and that, but obviously if it's coming for his side, the defence as well, it's spreading out for him. Players are less likely to take risks on that side. He's wanting to drive at players, and I don't know, it just feels you sit and nitpick everything after a game like that. It's not the end of the world, but something does need to. Hopefully, it was a rocket up their arse moment.
Hell, that's it. They've got to use it as motivation.
Rodgers won't be having any complacency, especially in January. That's just not acceptable. I don't care how many points clear we are. They shouldn't be letting standards slip.
I suppose the big positives to take from it is motivation to go and do better. But I guess if you look at it as, I think it's exposed a lot of the weaknesses that we still have. And you're always going to have weaknesses. It's not like you can be perfect. Celtic have never been perfect. And in the course of their existence, there's always been imperfections. And there always will be. But I think it showed with Maeda and Kuhn being out recently that we're in desperate need of these players. I think defensively, going into the summer, the way we'll work, they'll need to look at. I think that's a good thing, that maybe it's given Rodgers and the board something to think about and obviously try and improve on, which is always important. So I'm trying to take the positives.
Hopefully it's just resting on your laurels. You don't know what to be doing that, especially, I mean, as we said, the gap is massive, but it's ones like that Dylan said, you don't really know how to react to it, because it doesn't feel at the end of the world because we've got such a cushion, but we've got that cushion because we've done well earlier on in the season, and it's maybe no living up to the same standards we had. So I think that's why people are frustrated.
What were you guys say, Don?
I just thought to say, I think Kuhn was a good positive when he came on as well.
I thought he was our best player in the second half.
Back into us in the second half.
It's mad how vital he is to just the actual heartbeat of the team. Like, he's that attacking flair that we've maybe missed the last couple of games. But yeah, listen, the big thing is, with young boys on the horizon, they need to give us a performance at the weekend to fill us with hope going into that game. The last two European games were slogs by all accounts. 1-0 and a 0-0, 2 draws, and I think that Celtic fans left both of those games thinking we probably could have won them. I think there were games that were winnable, and kind of kicked ourselves a wee bit. There's no room for that, Dylan, on Wednesday night, is there?
No, especially the fact, I think, if we're being honest, that with all due respect to young boys, this is a game we've been talking about since the start of the draw. Like, it should be a guaranteed 3 points, like bottom of the table. And I think after the draws, we've been saying, right, we've got young boys, we should be winning that. And it is a must win now, because obviously you need that probably 1 win just to confirmed the playoffs, and you've got Valle away, which is, let's be honest, we probably will lose that. Hopefully no, but it's going to just make, especially the form's a bit under now, so it's going to make Wednesday a wee bit more nervier than we wanted. But I'm sure we'll get the job done. Hopefully,
that's it. It's just, that nervousness that's added into this game now. The thing that worries me, Kieran, is that we do balls it up and then just the whole atmosphere goes out the window.
I've said, after people talking about after the Club Bruges game, and I said that was a missed opportunity, and people saying, it wasn't a missed opportunity. This is the situation you fucking leave yourself in.
Aye.
Having to go into a game at Celtic Park where you're expecting to win, you're expected to win against a team that's done so poorly. As I said earlier, we've seen this fucking story before.
Aye. Look at Hearts.
We don't make these games easy.
Aye.
And I'm honestly, I don't want to go as far as say dreading it, but the atmosphere on Wednesday is going to go either way, because we know what it could be like. One misplaced pass, it's going to be fucking toxic.
Yep.
And people can't even debate me on that otherwise, because it'll be bouncing before the game, as always. But the second that first whistle goes, the nerves are going to be, you'll be able to feel the tension in the ground. Because after the past games we've ballsed it up in the 1H and the nothing each, I'm like, this is making me dread young boys at home now, because you've seen these type of games at Celtic Park before. We don't deal well with the pressure, and hopefully we were talking about earlier on in the campaign saying maybe we've turned a leaf, but obviously the performances have somewhat tailed off near the end of the campaign. The games were winnable. We could have been in a lot of a better position right now. We could have been talking about trying to push ourselves further up table. We just need to get a win to make sure we're in.
The good thing is a win is like, that's it,
I do have confidence the team have got it in them, but I just cannot shake that nerviness, and I don't think a lot of people.
A few pints and you'll be fine.
I'll be shaking. Fucking got it in there.
Be pissing down his leg 5 minutes in.
It's the opportunity to get through to a playoff round.
No, I know. Because I remember that you were incredibly. I remember still doing that podcast, and I don't know who'd have been on it with us, if it was Dylan or Calum. But I remember that podcast directly after the Bruges game, and you were still fuming that day. Like, I remember you brought the same.
See that anger feeling in it.
I know. Aye.
Honestly,
it's on your face.
It was the biggest missed opportunity ever.
Aye.
We
just
could
how
have been
poor
in-
we were the night.
Even with Zagreb, you can maybe excuse it. Not even excuse it, but just say we never created fuck all.
Aye.
And
Away
Zagreb,
from
so you
home,
can't even
blah.
say, we should have won that game. Nobody
Aye.
deserved to win that game. It was awful.
Aye.
But with Bruges, we should have won that
Aye.
at home. I gain too much respect to these teams, but even though young boys haven't been playing well, even in the league, you can't even write them off, because they'll probably still be a technically
They're fighting for pride at this point, and they will, and like it or lump it here, like the honest truth is, they will be looking at Celtic as an opportunity. They'll be looking at, I don't know who they've got after us, but probably no good games, probably teams better than Celtic. So they'll be thinking to themselves, well, if we want to leave with any pride, Parkhead's the place we're going to have to do it. So they will be coming with something to play for on Wednesday, and it's going to make it a really, really tough game.
I know. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm hopeful, but I'm still got that nervousness, and hopefully, as you say, that it's shaken off by kick-off, but I just think it's going to be a very, very tense atmosphere on Wednesday.
How vital is it for our season, Dylan, that this time next week when we come to do our podcast that Celtic are through to the next round of the Scottish Cup and essentially through to the next round of the Champions League? How big is that for the context of our season?
It's arguably the biggest moment of the season so far. I think it's that way, and we need to win, because I feel it'd be so harsh on us in general if we didn't get through, because this has probably been the best Champions League campaign to remember in a while. Still only lost one game, but as Kieran said, day 2 games were not as Zagreb as much, but I missed opportunity, so it's more pressure in this game. So if anything goes wrong, it's just going to be a massive.
You won't get a better draw than this.
Aye.
Like,
this will be the best we have for years.
Aye.
For years.
The first man we get, next man's will be absolute horror draws like you've seen other teams get. So if we can't take this opportunity, then we're not going to fucking take any opportunity.
It's a massive game.
So,
remember we were talking about going into this game challenging for the top 8. What a world that was. What a time.
That was before the missed opportunity at Bruges.
Yeah, and listen, I think, Dylan, you're spot on with the appraisal of saying this is a season that's been full of moments, but this is a huge moment this week. That game, Kilmarnock at the weekend, I'm not going to say it's make or break for our season, but it feels close to it. Feels close at make or break to the season.
I think we said at the start of the season,
I don't want to
measure a
sound
success for
exaggerating.
Europe alone. Let's even take this weekend out of the equation. Our measure of success this season was nothing short of making it into the playoff round at least, because we've seen the draw we had. You have to, and I'm hopeful the players are going to be up for it. Rodgers will be making sure nobody's any complacency in the team is stamped out by next Wednesday, but we just need to go and get the best account of ourselves and get ourselves into that playoff round.
I feel like we've just took Kilmarnock and went fuck off and put them to the side. Just disregarded them as a threat entirely. We're not going to spend too much longer talking about these games because we do need to get this show on the road, but Kilmarnock, Celtic Park, you should be winning these games. It's as simple as that. There's, we know what to expect.
Plus, I'm just glad it's not Rugby Park, because we obviously seen last season Kelly were the first team to stop Rodgers' trophy run, so you need to give them the respect. I know it's at Celtic Park, but it's still a job to do.
It is.
I mean, it's obviously about progression to the next round, but I think a lot of people want to see the performances take a dramatic rise, because people haven't been very happy with them recently, rightfully so, but you just need to hope everybody's had a bollock and Afi Rodgers on
Hairdryer treatment. Score predictions then for Saturday.
I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1.
2-0.
2-0. I'm going to go 4-0. I've not gave a big one all season. I don't think I've gave one big one, but I just feel like, I don't know, after the last few games and Rodgers clearly looking a wee bit annoyed at things, I think he'll be like lads, we need to go out here and get something. And Kelly, by all accounts, should be down to 10 men at some point in the game, so they like to get a red card every week.
I feel like they need a result with that just to sort of light the fire again.
Especially going into Champions League game.
Right, I believe that's everything for the main topics of the show. So we can go on to the Twitter questions, but just while you're getting the questions up, is there anything that I've missed that you would like to throw in at all? I always like opening the floor a wee bit,
I think no, a lot we talked was about Alameda.
Oh well, Christ, we've not even got started on it, have we? We'll game one more. We'll game another week.
Well, first question from Cal.
Okay.
Thoughts on Ida?
It's not good, is it?
And then his thought is, I think with a full pre-season and Kyoto potentially away in the summer, he'll be back to his best, given the chance to be the main man. Not to mention, he's only 23, so he's still developing as a player.
Yeah,
your thoughts?
I think that the situation with Ida is blown up even more so down to the fact we know what he can do and he showed us what he can do, and that's what justified the spending £9.5 million on him. I think that's where the majority of the frustration lies.
He's a victim of the price tag.
He's obviously, he hasn't been good enough. We know that. He's been far from good enough. You can't go 12 games without scoring a goal as a striker. He's been getting starts recently, and he's coming nowhere near scoring, to be quite honest, which is even more concerning. But listen, I do believe that there's a player there. We've seen that there's a player there, and I do think that he can do it for us at some point. It's just about getting his confidence back.
I think as well, just for me personally, I think I just want to give him a chance as well. But give him a wee bit. I'm going to be patient with him, because I think for me, I was so happy with his contributions last season. He did save us a lot of times. The Motherwell game, the Rangers games, even the Ibrox game that nobody talks about as much anymore. That was a crucial goal in that game and saved us a lot. Probably saved our season, and to be honest with you, in my opinion, last season. So but obviously 12 games isn't good, and he's getting the time of the price tag. But
we know that Celtic are a fan base that like to move on very quickly and forget about things. But I think you can argue the point that without Adam Ida, we don't win the league last year. I think there's a genuine argument for that. Genuinely. So I'm not going to start getting on the lad's back to the extent of, oh, he's shite and I don't want him here anymore, because people are saying that. Patient, and it'll come back.
I will give him patience. I do think he's definitely got a part to play here, and people suggesting that it should be.
Take it back and shot.
Reactionary.
Yes.
Add the lad here.
Yay!
Edward, Dembele, Bruni, KT, Sinclair. All these players at their peak, you can bring back to.
Oh. Well, can we take KT out?
I was just about to suggest that.
It's coming back.
So you got Edward, Dembele, Bruni, and Sinclair
at their peak.
I'll let you go first, right?
Have I go first? Bruni. I'm jumping straight in and taking, but it's evident now more than ever that we need a CDM. I hate saying a CDM. A midfielder. I know. I don't know why I said that. We need a midfielder like him. So Bruni, and so it was Dembele, Edouard, and
Sinclair.
I'd maybe say, if you're telling me right now, I'd probably pick Sinclair just because of the winger.
Aye.
Dodginess if we don't bring in a winger. So I'd say him as well.
Are you going
Probably Bruni, aye.
Sinclair and Bruni? I'm
Then
stuck
again,
with...
there's a striker.
Go on, Ryan, just say it. We all know you want Dembele.
Aye, Dembele.
And he had one last thing in. If you were to pick any 3 people from Celtic history, let's just go with one. So one
Right,
each.
okay.
You can pick anybody from Celtic history. It can be player, staff, famous fan. Who would you want to pick to sit down with, have a pint and a kebab pie with?
I feel like we get asked variations of this question all the time. We're always like, very old. Brendan Rodgers. That's mine.
I'm going to pick somebody for like. Let's go Willie Neely. I want to see his reaction to a kebab pie.
Probably kill him. What have you done?
I don't know, man. That's a good question.
Who would appreciate a good kebab pie? No, do you know what? I'm changing my answer. Andrew Gutman.
Manny Perez.
Azim Richards.
That's a good question, though. It's a good question.
Paddy McCourt.
Controversial.
Yeah, well, it's controversial now.
No, seriously, it's probably... I'd probably say it's Big Sammy. I'd love to see
Oh,
Big
right,
Sammy.
okay, nice.
See his reaction to a kebab pie.
Something we've not really touched on this week's one. Aidan's asking, would you trust the board to replace Kyogo this window, even if he went after the Champions League games? Main reason I think he'll stay is because we'll need a full summer to figure out who we would replace him with. I would have no faith in this board to replace Kyogo this window.
I'd agree with him.
I think that we've been doing our homework because clearly Matthias Kvistgaard has been somebody that's on the radar at Celtic for a long time now, and I think he looks to be the natural replacement if Kyogo was to slip out the door. But I still don't trust him to get it right, and I think it would be very short-sighted of us to let him go.
Aaron here is asking, what would your ideal Celtic I'm a Celebrity lineup be? I say, even if we just go and start naming people that you think.
Well, Rodgers first of all. Like, obviously Rodgers has to
That's
be
a
one.
great question.
It is. Who
Neil
else?
Lennon.
Aye, that's a good one. I haven't Shane Duffy.
Wish to well.
We don't know that he gets caught fucking stealing meals or something. We don't not abuse
For
any
the shack.
privilege.
Meal in the afternoon, a deal.
I'm just trying to think of somebody pure obscure. Like, see, because in I'm a Celebrity, they always get on like a sort of influencer that everybody's like, who the fuck's that?
Aye.
Let's get Kundai Benyu into the I'm a Celebrity jungle.
Summer Harrow.
Oh, that's out the box.
That's out of the box because obviously you need to bring in some like I don't know diversity here, some female viewership reason for them to watch. I don't know, but Summer Harrow, clearly a controversial character at Celtic, as she was the one that split up a happy marriage. So add that character to the jungle.
I love Triangle. I'm trying to think
Gordon
of
Strang.
Yeah.
He'd be a good
Shout,
stories.
shout.
who hosts a Celtic I'm a Celebrity. Jerry McCulloch and Paul Curry.
Don't be Jerry McCulloch, please.
Who would host it? Peter Martin. Try to think. Who would host it?
Charlie McGrew.
It's not a bad shout.
He'd put in the ITV2 extra.
After.
I don't know. It's a good question.
I'll maybe come back to this.
Is there any famous celebrities or famous like TV hosts? Like I know Lorraine supports.
Martin Thompson. He,
Like obviously Lorraine Kelly, you could say her, but she's a Dundee United supporter, isn't she?
she wouldn't turn up half the time. She's just turn up for any fucking show.
Any name.
That's a good question. I enjoy it. We need to get a good think into that.
Thanks for that, Aaron. Alistair is just backing up what we've been saying that he'd be a big fan of Barry coming in.
That's right, because Alistair's a Villa supporter, isn't he? So,
And he said, love the show, get it done, Celtic. So
Get it done, Celtic.
That's what we do. With Lewis is asking a question about the wingers, but we kind of talked about that in depth. This is an interesting question I actually seen earlier. Dolan asks, who's Celtic's best player to only spend a year at the club? I think that's one you need to put some actual thought into.
a lot of people will jump off the gun and say Motti straight away. He's one that will come to Foxhead.
No, he's a very good shout.
He's a great shout. There's probably a lot for the like the 80s, 90s and stuff
I
that
feel like the older generation would be a bit more suited to that because they'd have people like DeCanio.
Aye.
Was Timo Weir only a year?
Wasn't even a full year.
Yeah,
It was
6 months.
about 5 minutes.
He's a decent 5.
If you're counting here, listen. I know he said players, but I guess if you were to extend it, Wim Janssen would be the big shout, wouldn't it? But players wise, try to think if there's anybody when we were growing up who I was gutted. You know, obviously loan players come and go, but if you're talking permanent,
I know that just didn't work out.
Aye.
Like he wanted to leave. I feel like Moyes the only one that can really jump to mind recently.
I need to go away and have a think, because there's definitely people I just can't think of on the spot.
Then we've got Jude Forsyth asking, saying Yang Gang back in full force this week. Last week's comment aged well.
Aye.
Meg got to sell on the score sheet, but replace him.
Oh dear.
And then we'll finish off, not really a question, but it's a message from a friend of the podcast, Phil Smith.
Phil!
Right, he
He's
said,
back.
no women's socks today, 118. And then had a brawl in the new Primark at the Fort over pyjamas. Great new store though. In London on Saturday to see ABBA with the wife, then going back to see it on Valentine's. Dancing emoji. That's why I expect a wee bit hurtful to one person, but very kind to you, Darren. Thank God the wee guy isn't on anymore. New kid, much better. Cheers, Phil.
I'm going to take the presumption who he's talking about there. It's very helpful indeed. Phil, you're a legend, I suppose.
Thanks for that, Phil.
Thanks for that, Phil. What was it he said at the start of that again? The Primark. The Primark, quite good.
He said he was having a brawl in her pyjamas.
Aye. It's I get like that, you know. It gets like that.
It's chaotic in there, doesn't it?
I would just seen it before Christmas. Oh, bloody hell. But thank you for your questions. As always, we'll be back next week to answer them. Right, let's finish off the main episode. I don't know how long this main episode's been.
I know.
Is it an hour? Oh God, I was saying we'll try and do it in 45.
I'm pretty sure we started at 6:30.
Right, well, are you ready for your end of episode quiz, which has been created by me? And I must say I'm quite proud of my efforts today. Today's quiz is themed around one man, and depending on how the situation unfurls, it could make us look like fucking dicks. It's about Kieran Tierney, of all people. So, Dylan, because it's your first episode of the year, I'm going to give you the opportunity. Would you like set A or your famous set B?
Start 2025, I've forgiven the B's, set B.
So, I haven't deliberately tried to organise these into like a set A that looks fit. I've just put my questions down and it's the way it's ended up. So one might end up easier, I don't know, but that's the fun of a quiz. It's the fun of picking. So, Kieran, question 1 for you. Which team did Kieran Tierney make his competitive Celtic debut against?
Is it Dundee?
It was Dundee, correct. Well done. And Dylan, what age was Kieran Tierney when he made his competitive debut against Dundee?
Oh, I don't have a clue, to be honest with you. Oh, I don't know. I can't find it. 18?
Oh.
17.
I was going to say that. Oh, man.
I was like, when you said 7, I was like, oh, he's going to get it. And then you changed, and I was like, oh.
Damn it.
So 1-0 Kieran after round 1, but I hit in the post, Dylan, hit in the post. True or false for you, Kieran? True or false? Did Kieran Tierney, in his first full season as a Celtic player, so the first year he was properly in the team, did he win both the Players and Writers Young Player of the Year in his first full season?
False.
It's true. He did. So a big opportunity for you, Dylan. Who did Kieran Tierney score his first competitive goal against for Celtic?
Competitive.
And this was a forgotten moment for me. I reminded myself earlier on when I was doing the quiz.
Oh, I'm just going to say it. I'm sure it's Motherwell.
It is Motherwell, correct.
Because you said competitive, I was like, did he score a cup
He
goal
scored the first. I actually had an argument with ChatGPT earlier, and I'm not joking. I've screenshotted it. I'll maybe put it on the Discord or something. But I just to confirm, I knew it was Motherwell, right? But to confirm that, I went on to ChatGPT and I said, "Who did Kieran Tierney score his first goal against?" It was like, said Hearts. I was like, no. I was like, nah. I said, I think you're wrong. It was like, oh, pardon me, I am wrong. And they gave me another game, and I went, you're wrong again. And these were all dates after the Motherwell game. I was like, you're wrong. It was like, oh, sorry, pardon me, sorry.
This was just some guy on the other side.
And he'd done it 4 times, and then he finally said Motherwell. And then I said, do you know what I done after that? I said, are you 100% sure now? And he went, oh, no, sorry. He scored for Celtic in 2015. I was like, no, he didn't. What useless device. Anyway, 1 each. Question 3. Kieran, to retake the lead. Make sure I was asking the right one. Did Kieran Tierney leave Celtic on deadline day True or false?
False.
True.
Really?
He left on deadline. It was a very early transfer deadline in 2019. I believe it was like August 8th or something like that. I was looking it up the day.
Is that when the deadline was?
I can't remember the date exactly, but it was early. It was early, but he left on deadline day.
Wonder what that was for.
Fuck.
I can't remember.
What the fuck was
I was shocked when I found the Sky Sports article and everything that said Kieran Tierney has left Celtic on deadline day.
Maybe because of COVID or something.
I don't know. But
No,
this would have been
'cause
before COVID, wouldn't it?
I mean,
What was it?
Because he left
like,
Trust me, go find the article, you see it. Nuts. They left on deadline day. So it was a trick question for you because I knew you'd say false because I didn't know that either. Aye. So Dylan to take the lead, huge one. Did Kieran Tierney, true or false as well? Did Kieran Tierney only have a year left on his contract when he left Celtic for Arsenal? True or false? Or did he? Or aye or no? Just however you want to answer it.
I'd say false.
True. Aye, false is correct. Sorry, aye, is correct. Because £25 million, you wouldn't get that for a guy. Aye. So that's 2-1 to Dylan. Heading into question 4. So Kieran, you really need this one. And it's a numbers-based question. But for you, on this one, I will let you be in the range of 5.
Right.
So if you're 5 off, I'll let you have it. How many appearances has, to this point, Kieran Tierney made for Arsenal in competitive fixtures?
Was it hard, isn't it?
that's solid. It's hard because he's injuries. Wait, let's go 130.
Well done. Correct. You're in the range. 127.
Oh, Kieran.
Do you know what? I was partially wanting to say something like that, but I was like, no, just keep it around.
127. So I'll give you, I said within 5. Well done. Great answer. What an answer. So Dylan, to retake your lead in question 4, how many goals has Kieran Tierney scored for Arsenal? But you're not getting the range of 5 because you're getting the range of 1. I'll let you be 1 either side.
I don't think it's been that many, to be honest with you. I don't overthink it, so I'm just going to 4.
I'll give you the correct answer's 5.
I would have said 3, so I wouldn't have got that.
Well done, boys. You're doing all right. Into the last question, which is a big one for you.
West Brom. Was it West Brom, the pure screamer they scored in the snow?
So, Kieran, your final question. Has Kieran Tierney ever scored in the UEFA Champions League?
See, that's a tough one because did he get credited with that goal
Was that a
against
trick question?
Man City? Because I
don't
did
know.
have Raheem Sterling an absolute brief. I'm going to take a gamble and say he has because I gave him that goal.
You give him that goal.
But UEFA.
But sadly, UEFA do not give him that goal.
That was on target.
He has never scored in the Champions League, which means Dylan has won this week's quiz. Congratulations. What start? Step B. Step B.
the
But,
redemption arc.
but can you get 4 out of 5, which would be fantastic. 4 out of 5. Here you go, your last question. Did Kieran Tierney make more Champions League appearances for Arsenal or Real Sociedad?
Oh. I'd say Sociedad.
Correct, because he never ever played in the Champions
I
League
was
for
thinking.
Arsenal. He played 2 appearances. Yep, he made 2 appearances for Arsenal, for Sociedad in the Champions League, but none for Real Sociedad. So congratulations. What? That was good. There you go. That was a decent wee quiz.
That's the first
These want the tiebreaker for a laugh anyway. The tiebreaker would have been how many Scotland caps does Kieran Tierney have?
55.
55.
65.
Kieran would have been closer because it's only 46. So there you go. But Dylan wins anyway. Congratulations, Dylan, on the Kieran Tierney quiz. A true Kieran Tierney superfan to the left of me. Anyway, that is it for the main episode. So going to get moving into the Thunder Club very quickly. So you know what to do if you want that content. Become a channel member. But thank you to Dylan and Kieran for joining me on the main episode. We'll be back next week where hopefully we're in very good moods. I wouldn't be. We'll see you next time.